Hello, this is Frank Neely from HeartlandDiaryUSA.com, bringing you news every conservative can use. Subscribe to my YouTube channel to stay up to date. On Fox News Sunday this week, we got the usual helping of Never Trumpism from Chris Wallace, joined this time by reliably Never Trumper Jonah Goldberg. And the topic was Kayleigh McEnany, the press secretary for President Trump, who's been on the job for a few weeks, really, and has done a great job of giving the White House media a taste of their own medicine. It was too much for Wallace and Goldberg, and they just felt that she was being a little too tough on the White House press corps. This is really remarkably stupid, but you'll enjoy it.
Turn to something else now, and that's the new White House press secretary, Kayleigh McEnany. She held a briefing on Friday, and this is right after President Trump said he would override governors if they didn't open houses of worship right away. A number of reporters asked on what basis, under what authority, the president could override governors and make them open houses of worship, and that led to this exchange. Take a look.
What specific provision of federal law allows the president to override a governor?
The president will strongly encourage every governor to allow their churches to reopen. And boy, it's interesting to be in a room that desperately wants to seem to see these churches and houses of worship stay closed.
The president said
yes,
that.
yes.
Kayleigh, I object to that. I mean, I go to church. I'm dying to go back to church.
Donna, I spent 6 years in the White House briefing room covering Ronald Reagan. I have to say, I never, and in the years since too, I never saw a White House press secretary act like that.
You know, I know Kayleigh, and I think she's an extraordinary person. But this combative, this posture that she has taken into the job, I don't think is the right posture. I would hope that she could tone it down a little bit. And we all believe that as not just journalists, but as individuals, we should be respected regardless of where we sit. And I just thought that was inappropriate the way she went back, assuming that many of the people sitting in that room did not care about houses of worship. We want to all return back to normal, whatever that means anymore, but we want to do so in a safe way, in a way that don't harm ourselves and those around us.
And then McEnany, who has been in the White House for a few weeks, started lecturing reporters, telling reporters who have been covering politics for many years what questions they should be asking, in this case about Michael Flynn. Take a look at this.
If I write them out in a slide format, maybe we're visual learners and you guys will follow up with journalistic curiosities. Why was Lieutenant General Michael Flynn unmasked? Not by the intel community entirely, but by Obama's chief of staff, by the former Vice President Joe Biden, by Susan Rice, by the Treasury Secretary. I mean, this is extraordinary.
Jonah, first of all, it's not extraordinary. Unmasking is pretty routine. The effort by people in an administration to find out who a masked American person is. It happens in the Trump White House. It happened, I think, 16,000 times the year before last. What's a crime is leaking it, but unmasking isn't. In addition to which, I have to say that if Kayleigh McEnany had told Sam Donaldson and me what questions we should ask, that would not have gone well, Jonah.
Yeah, look, it's nice to see Donna so deferential to Kayleigh McEnany. I think her behavior is indefensible and grotesque. And I think that what she has done is there's this cliche in Washington that President Trump wants a Roy Cohn as DOJ, as the Attorney General. What Donald Trump wants in a press secretary is a Twitter troll who goes on attack, doesn't actually care about doing the job they have, and instead wants to impress an audience of one and make another part of official Washington, another one of these essentially cable news and Twitter gladiatorial arenas. And it's a sign of the defining of deviancy down in our politics, and it's only going to make things worse.
Josh, in the time we got left, the White House press secretary is always a complicated job. They work for the White House, but they're paid by taxpayers. They are public officials. And Kayleigh McEnany isn't acting like she is working for the public. She acts like she is what she used to be, which is a spokesperson for the Trump campaign.
Yeah, look, Chris, I just disagree. I think Kayleigh's doing a nice job. And what's missing from this conversation that we've had this morning is the context by which she is making these statements. I think that any spokesperson in the Trump world, whether it's in the White House or the campaign, finds themselves under constant attack by the press. The confrontational nature by which journalists approach the questioning is not really to obtain much information so much as to try to back them into a corner. And I think Kayleigh said, I'm not going to play that game. And so, yeah, it is completely different than what we've seen from years and years of briefings from press secretaries. But I think it's reflective of the nature that we find ourselves in.
Let me just say, Sam Donaldson and me in the Reagan White House, we were pretty tough on the White House press secretaries, and we never had our religious beliefs questioned or were lectured on what we should ask. Thank you, panel. See you next Sunday. Up next, our power.